How's everybody doing? Happy Black History Month. Now, one issue that I have with the way we perceive black history is that we think it's all about slavery and oppression. And I remember the funny thing about that is I can remember Stephen Curry on a commercial saying, you know, we need to celebrate Black History Month because we need to understand what we fought and struggled for, right? And I'm saying this is a college student, you know. He been to college, you know. And I can also remember an Asian woman saying how much black history she knew. And I noticed everything she mentioned had to do with some oppression. Now, our history is not in a box, and that's part of my presentation. Can you start? This right here is Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa, pause it for me. Mansa Musa was the most richest man to ever live. A black man from Mali. The most richest man to ever live. Now, this is a part of history. His empire spanned 2,000 miles. When he went to Cairo, he gave out so much money that it totally influenced their economy, and it caused inflation. That's how much money this man had for a whole country. Now we go into a time machine, and we fast forward. That's ancient history. One thing we also need to know is because what our problems in the black community, we say slave mentality is part of the problem. We haven't bounced back from slavery. I don't believe that. I just think we don't know enough of our history. This man right here is Alexander Leidesdorff. He was the first man, he's mixed, but he's African-American. He's the first African-American male millionaire. Not the first African-American millionaire, because we started with the richest man. Right. He also is the first man to settle in Yerba Buena, which is downtown San Francisco. He built the first hotel in the city. He built the first shipping warehouse, and he also built the first steamboat in the city. And he was also one of the first 3 elected officials to the school board of San Francisco. Why didn't I learn about this man in school? And I went to San Francisco schools. He's that much essential. Press play. This man right here is, we going in the future. We covering lanes. We getting ancient history, and we getting some 1800s, and we getting some 20th century, right? This is Charles Sullivan. He ran the music industry in San Francisco. Now, very powerful man. He teamed up with, is it playing?
One thing.
Oh, pause it. He teamed up with Billy Graham. 10 minutes is rolling up? Oh. He teamed up with Billy Graham, and Billy Graham was in tune with the young white kids. And since Charles Sullivan was over the music, it was a match made in heaven. What happened with Charles Sullivan eventually is he was murdered. Some say it was a suicide, and it was up by Pac Bell Park. And a lot of people believe this was a precipitation for gentrification because he was a very powerful, wealthy man. That's Charles Sullivan. That's another guy we don't hear about. Now, this is a clip from Take This Hammer documentary, because one thing about it, ever since I've been growing up, as, you know, being black, we've always been in some kind of deficit. We've always had some kind of problem. I even remember saying, a magazine saying, here's the 90s, the do or die year for the African-American people. Now I'm gonna play this clip.
One thing about it, in this particular area, about 80% of the people in this area are Negro. This is a real large housing project. There's, as far as delinquency is concerned, we'll rank about 4. The job situation is bad. This is a real black belt of San Francisco. I think that the lady over...
Now that was the 60s. Same problems, same issues in the 60s. Now you would think we didn't have any advantages in between then. But I don't believe that. What comes up right here is hip hop, right? Hip hop is a $15 billion industry. And even before hip hop, you had to, like, if you control James Brown music, that's a lot of power. Billie Holiday, that's a lot of power. Michael Jackson, and these are people that we're producing. Now, it's said that when you have environments where people grow up in adverse situations, those environments produce a lot of poets. And I truly believe we haven't really, as a community, pushed the arts with our children. Our children are natural artists based on the environment is creating them. Okay, now you got Public Enemy. Now hip hop, very important tool, right? It influences fashion. It had everybody, press play, it had everybody for a second wearing African medallions. You remember that? Yep. That's the power of hip hop, right? Now, boom, these are the careers that's in hip hop. It's not, see, when your child say, I want to get involved in hip hop, you think, oh, he just want to be a rapper. But there's engineers, there's producers, there's so many careers, right? Okay, now hold on, pause it. Here's a snippet from Dan Charnas. He wrote a book called The Big Payback. He did a lot of research on hip hop. Play it, Dan, for me.
What I wanted to accomplish with The Big Payback was the very first business history of hip-hop. How did this obscure street culture from the ghettos of 1970s New York become the world's predominant pop culture and a multi-billion-dollar business? You can't answer that question by just looking at the artists. You have to look at the people who worked behind the artists to turn those artists into stars, the business people. Over the course of 4 years, I interviewed more than 300 people.
We can deduce, right, that jobs have been a major issue in the African-American community. Now, what I'm saying is that the youth came up with the solution, or with a solution, and that's hip-hop. The career, it's a $15 billion industry. So there was a lot of careers that we could have took advantage of, including the one that this man who did the research, that could have been a young black person doing the research and getting paid off of what we came up with. And right now, so much of our culture is in a museum. They're coming up with all of these movies like James Brown, NWA. The solution is right there. Okay, I'm gonna get a little ratchet. You might have to excuse the language, it's just a small snippet of the verse. But Tupac kind of breaks this down a little bit when he talks about the clash between the older generation and the younger generation. Play it.
Instead of trying to help a nigga, you destroy your brother. Worse than the others, Bill Clinton, Mr. Bob Dole. You're too old to understand the way the game's sold. You're lame, so I gotta hit you with the hot facts. Want some release, I'm making millions, niggas talk that. They wanna sit to me, they'd rather see me in the cell. Living in hell, only a few of us are living tell. Now everybody talking about us, I could give a fuck. I be the first ones to bomb and cuss. Nigga, tell me how you...
He says to Mr. Lois Tucker, you mistaking me for Mr. Bill Clinton, Bob Dole. He said, I'm making millions, top that, which is saying, I'm the one that's providing the economy for the community. Why go against me? Work with me. Why go against me for the politicians, right? And at the time when hip hop was on the rise, they were trying to ban it. And I believe it was for economical reasons and all of the multiple streams that hip hop influenced. How much time I got? Okay, play this. This is a little clip I made.
Visibility in the sports, in the arts, in many social stations, and we have failed miserably in using that celebrity to keep alive the integrity of our struggle.
I think to a certain extent, society has taught us as we become successful, you are supposed to lead. Right. That's totally opposite of what I believe in. Me, myself, I think the responsibility socially for somebody who does become successful within a community or an environment is to stay there and build it from within. I think you ain't had no business leaving from the get-go. So that goes for anybody. Right. If you take one community, if you take 8 blocks straight down the street, and everybody, as they become successful, they leave. They move to the suburbs. And you only leave the negative people. And you only leave the gangsters and the people who dropped out of school. And you got a group of kids who are 8 and 9 years old, they looking up, but they only see negative. I feel like for everybody who left, they did our community a social injustice by leaving.
Now another thing too is we give America their athletes almost with nothing in return, right? And that athlete doesn't come back to invest in the community or build it up. You take an area like Compton. Let's just use Compton as an example. Dr. Dre became the first hip-hop billionaire. He's from Compton. You had all of these millionaires from Compton, and it's still in the same poverty environments that it's in. I believe we're now being planted with the seed to come back and reinvest in our own community, and the solutions are right there. They've been there for a long time, so I believe we got to get out of the box of slavery, and we got to start paying attention to our own talents that's within our community. And it's multi-billion-dollar talents. We invented a $15 billion industry in hip-hop. Ain't no telling what else we gonna invent it, but if we keep going the way we're going, we're just gonna give it away. And somebody else is gonna control this. Wow, this could be opportunities and careers for youth. Half of everybody that I knew in my neighborhood knew how to draw. But only 2 really took advantage of that and made some money off of it. Nobody, the mama, the teachers, nobody said you can make some money off of this. A lot of those kids want to becoming gangsters and drug dealers. And, I got a cousin right now who's been through a lot, and he's 40, and he's just realizing his talent in drawing. So with that, and even with Tupac's mother sent him to the School of Arts, SOTA, School of the Arts. He wouldn't have been as talented as he was if his mother didn't send him there. So with that, I come to a close. I see he getting ready to Apollo show me. And I love you all, and happy Black History Month.